Hello everybody and welcome to another Language, the Art and Science. Today we're talking about language, the fundamentals of cognitive psychology. And for today, language is communication which can be verbal or nonverbal. So for example, like handshakes, um, fist bumps, and then of course written or oral communication. And language is an organized means of combining words in order to communicate. We use symbols to refer to ideas and relationships that are not currently present. We can refer to things that never existed, such as elves, or abstract concepts, such as truth. We can refer to things that are mental representations of a situation, so that we can understand the situation and communicate about it. So language have certain properties. There's receptive, which is the comprehension and decoding of language input. So you're trying to comprehend and understand the concepts and ideas that are being told to you. And there's expressive, the encoding and production of language output. So you're producing and manifesting the language that you're speaking, whether that be with family members, kind of any other person. And encoding is transforming thoughts into a form that can be expressed through either speech, writing, or signs. And there's verbal comprehension and verbal fluency, which are the abilities needed to produce language. And your receptive vocabulary is larger than your expressive vocabulary. And properties of language, according to Clark and Clark in 1977, a language must be learnable by children. A language must be able to be spoken and understood readily by adults. And by spoken, it does not have to be necessarily oral, as we know there's American Sign Language or any other version of sign language as well. And a language must capture ideas that people normally communicate. And also, a language must enable communication among groups of people in a social and cultural context. And then there's different levels of analysis of language. So there's the phonological analysis, which is the study of the production and perception of language sounds. And there's syntactic analysis, which is the study of the structure of sentences, rules determining order of words, and the phrases in those sentences. There's also the semantic analysis, which is the study of word meanings, which would be such as bachelor and his wife went to the movies. So according to Miller, there's 5 levels of language analysis. There's belief, which is the analysis of the sentence and discourse meaning with reference to one's own beliefs and one's beliefs about the speaker's intent. Conceptual, which is the analysis of phrase and sentence meaning with reference to knowledge and semantic memory. There's the semantic, which is the analysis of word meaning and the integration of word meanings with phrases and sentences. Syntax, which is the analysis of word order, and phonology, which is the analysis of sounds of language. The Sapir-Whorf hypothesis is the strong version of the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis is that language determines thought, and that is incorrect. The most common view is that language influences thought. Current work examines how language affects thought, and earlier the bulk of the research was concentrated on testing the hypothesis. The experimental data has not been able to disprove it. The brain stores associations between semantic concepts, like the idea of a house, and phonetic representation, the sounds that make up the word house. The initial sounds are more important for recall purposes than later sounds. Relationships between semantic concepts are also stored and will produce priming. And indirect relationships between unrelated concepts can be inadvertently triggered by a bridge through a phonetic relationship. For example, the recall of the idea of a house can be sped up by exposure to the word mouse because they have similar phonology.